Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. We've talked a lot on the podcast about things happening for a reason, to understand that there's no mistakes or coincidences in our universe. But we haven't talked much about what do you make from them? How do you realize that everything that happens in your life happens in a way that can support you, or it can destroy you if you let it? Understanding that every single thing happens for a reason, and that reason may not make sense at first. But when you dive deep into it, and you find from the depth of your heart, from the depth of your soul, how it can help you learn, it can help you grow, it can expand you into being more of who you are, you really are changing the situation and you're changing the past. And we all have that power to change our past and find the gift in the things that happen in our lives and grow and expand from those things. I'm with Lora Cheadle today. Lora is an attorney, TEDx speaker, and burnout and betrayal recovery specialist. She works with people who've been betrayed by their body, life, or someone they love and want to turn the devastation into an invitation to reclaim their identity and self-worth so they can find the clarity, confidence, and courage to create their own happily ever after. She is the creator of Life Choreography, Burnout Recovery Framework, and leads Step Into Your Moxie corporate workshops and training that help participants speak and advocate for themselves, their companies, and the ideas that matter most. She's the author of Flaunt, Drop Your Cover and Reveal Your Smart, Sexy, and Spiritual Self, and hosts the Flaunt, Create a Life You Love After Infidelity or Betrayal podcast. Lora Cheadle, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I'm so excited to have you here. I've been on a couple podcasts and talked about what I've experienced in betrayal and how it affected my life, but I've never had anyone on the podcast to talk about it, share, and to delve deeply into it. Our bios are always, or at least the introductions are really short. Could you give me a little bit more information about what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I am working with people who are facing some kind of a betrayal. Sometimes I say you can feel betrayed by your body, your life, or by somebody that you loved and trusted. And what I do is I work with people who really desperately want to use that feeling of devastation and, oh my goodness, my whole life has been upended, and to use that for an invitation for something more. For people who really want to understand themselves better, the way that they have power in the world, the way that they can express their power, the way that they can create, the way that they can heal, so that they can get a better handle on who they are, what they're capable of, and actually build a life, step into their own sovereignty and build a life and identity that really is resonant with who they are on a soul level.
It's so much in alignment with what we do at Imagine Miracles about helping people, take what's happened in your life, find the gift in it, and use it to move forward. Speaking of gifts in our lives, one of the things that I ask every one of my guests is, what wake up call or wake up calls happened in your life to put you on this path of living your purpose more fully?
Mm, such a good question. For me, I had two of them, but my most significant one was back in 2018 when, after 23 years of what I thought was a really good marriage with a really good man, I learned that he had been cheating on me for 15 years with five different women. And I had no idea. And I consider myself a very intuitive person. And it rocked me. It rocked me to the core because I felt like my entire life, everything that I had worked for and strived for was a lie. And I didn't know what was true about me, about us, about the world, and what was false. And it actually, I mean, obviously, there's so much that comes from that. I could talk all day about that. But it also brought me back to a few times in my past, too, most specifically when I burned out from practicing law and walked away. And that same feeling of disillusionment, that same feeling of like, well, wait, what, isn't the world supposed to be different? This isn't right. This isn't what I signed up for. So yeah, it kind of brought me back to the disillusionment around that. But yeah, discovering his infidelity was the best, worst thing that has ever happened to me. And it was a huge wake up call about who I was and what I valued and what I was and wasn't capable of. And most importantly for me, how I wanted to show up and live the rest of my life.
Well, so many things there to unpack. And boy, I figure out which is the best direction to share with the imagination. First, and I haven't shared this much on the podcast, but there was a time in my life where I was trying to live by the rules that were given me. And during that time frame, it was right after United Airlines went bankrupt. And we were trying to find, my wife and I at the time, trying to find a way to get our retirement back, have some money for retirement, bring some of my pay back up, because in the bankruptcy at United, I took a huge pay cut. And we did that by buying a business. And the business that we bought were three pretzel stores. And my wife quickly found out that she was not made to help run pretzel stores. And because of that, she pulled out of the business, which in a way I felt abandoned there. But then after that, Dr. Atkins comes in. He tells everybody how bad it is to be eating carbohydrates. And the stores really took a dive in sales. And I spent 3 years working many, many hours trying to bring the stores back up just to get rid of them so we could have some semblance of a life. And during that time frame, my wife had an affair. And I had no clue that it was going on. And after I sold the stores, within 2 weeks, she told me about the affair. And the betrayal there was really, really tough on me. And I had 6 months where, I was willing to try anything to keep us together, to figure it out. And then I realized I just had to go on. And I liked what you said earlier, that it was the best thing in the worst thing that ever happened to you. Could you explain that to the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I have never felt that much visceral pain in my life. To be betrayed by the person that you think is so full of integrity and love for you, for your family, it takes away not only who you are, but I thought, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Why aren't our children valuable enough? Why aren't our family and friends valuable enough? It literally cuts all aspects of who you are. It's not just one thing, it's all of the things. And it's a very personal wounding, again, because of the close relationship and that close level of trust. And that's why it's the worst thing. Why it's the best thing is the blinders are off. The blinders are off. And now I see my husband, who I thought was this perfect man, I thought was this amazing human, as a flawed human, a normal human, a person with his own vulnerabilities, a person who is in pain, a person who has experienced trauma and doesn't know how to heal. And that completely shifted my view of him and of other people on the planet too, because then I'm like, well, if he's in pain, maybe everybody's in pain. And then it made me look within me and have me start thinking, what wounding in me attracted me to somebody like this? Because it's not just everybody else is wounded and broken. I'm resonating with them. And no, I didn't do anything wrong. You don't cause your partner's affair, but you are a partner to the relationship. And I can't change him. I can't change the other women. I can't change the world, but I can change me. And there was a lot of fear in that. And at the same time, a lot of power in that, because, okay, it's up to me. It is up to me, and only I can do the work, and only I can be honest enough. And now I see him honestly for who he is, with all of his flaws as well as all of his good parts. How can I start looking at myself? How can I embrace my shadow? How can I start seeing my own wounding? And then how can I be brave enough to do something about it, instead of just being like, yeah, we're all wounded, we're all broken. Yep, great. How can I really be courageous enough to do and to figure out what I need to do?
I love that you talk about being courageous, because uh, moving into who we are, building ourselves back up from those things that tear us down, really understanding that how we're supposed to show up in the world takes a little work. It's not something that, okay, I'm just going to be different tomorrow. And that's one of the things that I found through my experience. And I'd really love for you to share. The pain is with you for a while. How,
Oh, yeah.
how long did it take you to move beyond the pain and be ready to find yourself, be ready to start moving forward in what you were being called to do? And the other thing that you can address as you're answering that is, there is a time that our wake up calls are valid. And
Mhm.
if we go too long, then we kind of just slide back into our old life and we're happy with it. Could you address that also?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the time frame, it's a wave, it really is a wave. There were days early on where I couldn't see my way out of it. I didn't think I could ever get better. And then I had the realization one day that I'm a happy, bouncy person. I am filled with joy. This has the potential to ruin me and to make me really bitter. And I don't choose that for myself. I don't choose to have you, partner, you, other women, you, world, ruin who I am. And once I made that choice, I instantly felt better. I mean, literally, I instantly felt better once I had that realization. And then you have good days, and then you have bad days, and then you have good moments and you have bad moments. And just like life, I mean, I'm, 5 years out, mostly everything is good. And yet still, I still can slide into a pretty dark place. So it's a roller coaster with highs and lows, and those highs and lows start balancing out over time. I think the first year is acutely painful because there's anniversaries and there's still a lot to unpack. By the second year, I felt very strong. Um, and by the third year, I really felt like I had regained my footing. And it's different for everybody. I want to put a pin in that my experience can be different than other people's experiences. But however you're feeling, it's a valid way to feel and continue to feel it and to allow it to flow through you. And pretty soon, with that intention, you will start feeling better. So that's the first thing. And then you asked me to address something else, and I'm having a complete brain lapse of what that second part was that you wanted me to address.
Yeah, just could you share with us how there's a point that if we let something go too long, that wake up call go too long, that we have a tendency to not be in enough pain with the wake up to move forward?
Yes, that was it. Thank you for that. What I realized for me is this is so painful. I have to do something with this energy. And I'm big into like embodiment and moving the energy through and transmuting it. And I kept thinking, this is such a huge ball of energy. What do I do with it? And just to your point, I didn't just want to let it die. I didn't just want to let it drop. I wanted to do something constructive with it because yes, it's a lot of pain, but it's a lot of energy. Whatever the catalyst to create that energy was, I want to use that energy for something good. And right away, I started moving into how can I help? What can I do with this? How can I help me? How can I help other people? How can I tell my story? How can I do that? Because I recognized there was such a volume of energy there. And you're right, with time, energy dissipates. And I think it's important to capitalize on when you've got that energy to do something with it right away, because otherwise it will dissipate. And it's not that it won't be used in other ways, but it's dissipated. And I was very intentional about focusing the direction with which I wanted this energy to create, because I did want to create something. It was the energy of worlds within me, and I needed to create.
Excellent answer in helping everybody understand that it's all energy and it's changing the vibration of the energy. It's not getting rid of the old and bringing in the new necessarily. It's changing the vibration, especially, you know, the universe, if you will, delivered a gift. If we like it or not, if it felt good or not, the betrayal that you experienced was a gift for you and a gift for the world because it probably moved you off of something that was comfortable. And then as you stepped into something that was uncomfortable, you started bringing more to the world. So I think it was really important that you shared that we're really just changing the vibration of that. And in changing the vibration of betrayal, I love something that I heard in a podcast that you did about talking about what really happened in it. Could you explain what you mean by that and how it makes a difference?
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to look at whatever is going on in our life and to label it as something, whether it's good or bad, or label, my husband had an affair. And it's easy to be like, he's a narcissist, he's selfish, and then when I started thinking, what's going on underneath? Why would this person do that? Why would this person, who is a beautiful spirit, who is a divine child of the universe, why would somebody take this action? Why would somebody choose this pain? What was really going on? Because I believe that people don't just choose evil because it's fun. There's a pain point. Why did this seem like a good idea at the time? What did he want to get from it? And This was also a gift to the numbers and the length of time in the affair. When I found out about the first one, I'm out of there. You cheated on me. I'm out of here. This is horrible. You find out about the second one, you're like, double hate you, double out of here, double done. You find out about 3, 4, and 5. And for me, I went, what's happening? What is really going on here? And it made me curious and compassionate, because this is not an action that's going to make you, husband, feel enlightened and joy filled. What's going on? And then when I started getting into it, both with me and with him, this is his pain. This is his unresolved trauma. This is his vulnerability. This is a whole lot of stuff, and it has nothing to do with me. And we're still together, just as a side note there, because he's done a lot of work. He had that same curiosity. At the beginning, when I would say, why did you do it? It's because you're horrible, because you're awful, because about a month or so in, he came to me and said, this has nothing to do with you. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I just need you to know I'm really broken and I'm really hurt. And I don't know how to fix this. That's what's going on underneath. Why does somebody hurt somebody? Why does a hurt person hurt somebody? Let's talk about that, because that's something we can resolve. And one of the things in that same vein of like, is anger is a secondary emotion. Anger is really fear or pain. Anger is not the thing. So what's underneath it? What's underneath the affair? What caused you to do it? My background as an attorney, I always look to the root cause of things. What was the root cause? Let's address that.
And so many of us have the paths that we have to walk. We create and co-create through it. And I love that you're sharing that. Well, okay, well, let's look at what's underneath it all and make sense of that. And some of the co-creations that we have, we also have to look at, well, I understand my partner, but why did I co-create that? Why did I bring that into my life? What was that process like for you?
For me, I first had to look outside of myself and make sense of that so I could create my own sense of psychological and physical safety. I needed to know that I was safe in this relationship, going down this journey, exploring different things externally before I was safe enough to look within. Once I established that physical safety, then that psychological safety, then I was able to look at myself. And I wasn't triggering myself by thinking, it was my fault. You should have done this. Why didn't you know? Oh my gosh, you should have done better. Because those are thoughts that do come up. Then I started getting curious. Why would I have done this for myself? Why would my soul at its origin point have created this blueprint? Why would I have allowed this situation to build? I believe that on a subconscious level, I probably knew it the entire time. Why did it come out when it did? And just again, all of that curiosity with compassion and with grace. And as I was able to do that, I started really realizing this was the perfect time to discover this. This was the perfect time to train wreck my life. Because up until that point, even though I knew that there were things within me that I wanted to change, or within the relationship that I wanted to change, I was a mom, I had kids. I can't just everything. I needed that stability and that safety. And what a gift the betrayal was. It ruined my life for me. I didn't have to, dismantle things. It did the dismantling. And now I get to rebuild it my way because, like you, as an attorney, I followed the rules. You go to college, you go to law school, you pass the bar, you get a house, you get a dog, you get kids. Like I followed it all. And now I get to do it my way. And thank you, betrayal, for knocking down all the blocks and leaving me with this wisdom to rebuild.
when we can get to that place where we see it truly was a gift, and it opened the door for so many things. For me, I had a great life, just like you shared. I had a really good life. And I don't think I would have stepped fully into my purpose if we stayed married.
Right. Exactly.
I think we both needed that space. I believe at this point, and I never would have said that this 15 years ago, but I believe that there's a lot of soul agreements where we come together for a while, and when it's time for each of us to move in the direction that we're meant to move in, there's a separation somehow or another. It doesn't mean you can't come back together, but there has to be some growth, and sometimes we get so comfortable in staying the same that we lose the growth. And when I figured out what was missing in my life for so long was me, it gave me an opportunity to start pursuing what that even meant. So how do you help people on that journey?
I love that. Two different things. I love using the concept of burlesque because it's lighthearted, it's fun, and people have seen that quote unquote stripping down and the different layers. And when we hear about get to the root, unpeel the onion, it feels like work. But when you think about burlesque, woohoo, I'm taking off the jacket. Yay, I've got a corset. Woohoo, there's stockings. It becomes fun and flirty and playful. So that's how I help people step into that, is by first calming the nervous system by doing something that's fun and flirty and playful, and by holding that analogy of burlesque and stripping down and what's underneath. Because especially women, but men know this too, foundation garments. We have Spanx to hold us in. We have all makeup, we have hair, we have all of these things to create the way that we look. And when you really start stripping down out of all of that, we're all just bodies, we're all just human. And I always say you have to know yourself to show yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're going to think you're showing yourself, and then you're going to be like, oh, wait, I still have Spanx on. Oh, wait, I still have a foundation garment on. So getting playful with it, experimenting. I like the concept of tease. Yes, this is really me. No, it's not. Yes, this is really me. Oh, now it is this time. Have fun with this process. It's not dark and hard and we're unpeeling the onion. It's fun and it's flirty and it's light and it's playful. And that's how you get to know yourself, is by going back to who you were as a playful child.
Speaking of playful, tell us about flaunt.
Flaunt is an acronym for find your fetish, laugh out loud, accept unconditionally, navigate the negative, and trust in your truth. And those are the 5 steps that I recommend people do every day so they can come back home to themselves, so they can remember the joy of living, the joy of laughing, and reconnect to that trust, to the truth of who they are inside.
You've shared so much with us in such a short time. Unfortunately, we're getting to the end of our time. Is there a parting piece of guidance that you want to let everyone know that they need to take away from our time together?
Absolutely. Whether that betrayal is from your body in the form of sickness or aging or illness, life, this isn't what I signed up for, my job's horrible, COVID, or someone you love, the feeling of betrayal always uncovers the truth. And it uncovers the truth of what you have been hiding to yourself, the truth of your wounds, the truth of whatever it is inside of you. So I want everybody to walk away knowing that betrayal uncovers the truth of what you're hiding inside yourself, and to be brave to start looking within and use the joy of burlesque to uncover and reveal that truth.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. How can people get in touch with you?
They can go to my website, loracheadle.com, and it's LoraCheadle, or they can get a copy of my Betrayal Recovery Guide at betrayalrecoveryguide.com.
All that information is going to be available on the show page. You know where to go, themiracleyou.com. Lora, thank you so much for sharing your story, for what you're doing in the world and the difference that you're making. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. On behalf of Mary, my business partner, and my wife, and the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.